Welcome to Season 4 of the M-W Tactical Podcast. Sit back and enjoy the conversations of Rockstar Burst and myself, Michael Woodland, as we discuss the sport of shooting, goals, training, community matters, and everyday life. You are listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. All right, good people, we're back at it again, and thank you for joining us for another installation of the M-W Tactical Podcast. This week's show is brought to you in part by Jm4 Tactical. Jm4 Tactical is a proud supporter of this show and also sponsors yours truly in the sport of competition shooting within USPSA. And if you haven't already done so, head on over to YouTube and check out the coffee video that we did review. And later on in the show, we will talk about JM4 a little bit more in depth. But head on over to jm4tactical.com and check out all their holster accessories that they have and now products for coffee. So yes, a holster company got into coffee, but if you go watch that video, we'll talk about it a little bit more to make it more clear for you to understand. But this week's show is brought to you in part by JM4 Tactical. Now, as always, I like to tell everybody, thank you for being a listener to the show. It is very appreciative. It actually kind of knocked me off my socks, or knocked me out of my socks, when I went to the match last weekend, and a lot of people was talking about the product review I done on, I mean, not the product review, but the match review I done from my last competition match. Then on top of that, the podcast. So once again, I want to give everybody 2 thumbs up for being a supporter of the show. It means a lot to me. Pretty sure it means a lot to Rockstar, because I don't never give her a chance to tell me that, because she's throwing stuff at me, chasing me, trying to get me off of her nerves. The party never stops. Trust me, the party never stops. But if you will, head on over to YouTube and check out the M-W Tactical YouTube channel and go ahead and subscribe to us. Hit the bell notification for how you want to be notified when we put up new videos. Also, remember, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we will be doing a giveaway. So that's always going to be in place until we hit 1,000 subscribers. Now, if you're listening to us on your favorite streaming platform, do the same thing. Go ahead and follow us, subscribe, however it is offered to you on that platform, so you will be notified when a new podcast comes up. Now, remember, if you listen to us on Spotify, you also have the option to watch us on Spotify as well. So that's a feature that they have. So once again, thank you for being a listener to the M-W Tactical Podcast. Now, without further ado, y'all already know who the co-host is, the person who I get on her nerves every day. I be trying to get her in trouble at work, calling, setting off the fire alarms, hacking into their computer system, you name it, I'm going to do it just so I can get a laugh out of this female. But sometimes she don't laugh, so that's how we do it, but that's how we're going to claim it. But without further ado, bringing forth the lovely, the beautiful, the co-host of the M-W Tactical Podcast, the one, the only, Rockstar. What's going on there with you there, Miss Rockstar?
Oh, I'm currently getting the stare down from my cat. So I'm not quite sure what this is all about, but
I've been lately for the past couple of weeks, I always found this funny when you watch animal clips and people do the voiceovers like they're talking in place of the animal. I've always found that funny, and I've never been in a position where I can record an animal doing something so I could do that. But there's some funny ones out there that I've been seeing on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't know what he's up to. Someday I'll get a dog. I like animals in general, but I've always worked so much, and I used to travel a ton for work, so we always had dogs growing up. We had like 3 or 4 of them, and I got a cat. I've had a couple cats now. And they're nice because they're like low maintenance and they're pretty self-sufficient. And this one's pretty friendly, so they'll be like out and about. But someday I hope that I can get a
Mm.
dog.
But now, have your cat ever tried to smack you before, or have you ever seen your cat smack somebody before?
He hasn't. But he's very play. Well, he's little. He's only like a year and a half, so he's still very playful.
Right.
So he likes a laser pointer and other that he chases around. My roommate gets him all these toys. I'm like, the cat is spoiled. Like
Oh
he's lucky
man.
he lives indoors.
When I was in high school, I was going to North Neck in Charlotte, and there was a guy who lived in this community. The neighborhood was called Trinity Park. I think it was Trinity Park. But there was a guy who lived out there in that neighborhood who went to school with us, and he told us, well, it was another friend who told us this guy had his cat trained like a dog. We didn't believe it. We went to the house, man. He's throwing paper. The cat picks it up, bring it back. He does the bang. Cat falls down. He's doing all kind of stuff, and it's acting like a dog. And I was like, I didn't think you can train a cat like that, but I seen it with my own eyes, and I actually seen somebody else do the same thing on video. Also, like the cat was trained like a dog.
Nice. Yeah, I had a cat that played fetch. This is I don't know if you'll be able to see him, but he just hopped up on my lap. So this
Hmm.
is that's his name is Scotch. He's
Yeah, you're gonna be mad at you now.
pretty entertaining. Normally he leaves me alone, so I don't know what he's up to.
Right. Yeah. So I don't have any animals in the house because I'm hardly ever home.
Yeah.
The little assistant, she wanted a cat, but then she turned around, she wanted a dog. So one weekend when she was here with me, it was like a stray cat just popped up. And she was like, "Oh, maybe we can keep it." And I was like, "Well, let's just think about it." We went ahead, we fed it and everything. And I just didn't want the cat in the house because obviously I think the mother got hit by a car because I remember seeing a dead cat on the road. So I figured that was the mother. And this little cat, she called him Rascal, um, was right there. And then one day I just walked outside and I just heard all this crying, like, meow, meow. I was like, what in the world? So look up under the truck. Sure enough, it was a baby cat right there. Right. And, it was shaking and everything. So went ahead, got some milk and some cat food and fed him. But then when we went back outside, he wasn't there no more. So, but I was just like,
Aw.
well, maybe he'll come back, because she was all heartbroken about it. And I was like, well, we don't want to bring him in the house yet. And, we don't know, what's going on with the cat, who it actually belongs to. So it was a hard
Yeah.
conversation for her, at
Yeah.
that age, because that's what she really wanted. Like, you just
Right.
don't pick up strays from the street and bring it in the house. You got to do your
Oh
research
yeah.
and everything else.
You definitely don't want to
So,
do that. I did that.
mm,
The last
mm,
cat that I had, he was on the side of the road. He was also an orange tabby. Little, and he was little. I mean, he was probably when I took him to the vet was like, yeah, he's not even like 7 or 8 weeks old yet. So I
right.
think he got abandoned.
Mm,
Picked him up and he had ear mites, he had something
oh
else, and
wow.
then he had ringworm. So I ended up getting ringworm from this cat.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like
had a
here I am trying to be the good Samaritan for this poor kid. Ugh.
yeah, you gotta be careful with that one. And that's one thing I've always been cautious about with animals is because they're in the elements more than we are, but half the time when a cat or dog or whatever animal you have go around the corner and do whatever, you don't know what they're getting into, and then they're coming back home and just going around the house, rolling around, laying on everything. You got to be cautious. You got to be cautious. Yeah. So how was your week in total?
I don't know. It flew by. I took my braids out, which you can, if you're
Oh
watching, you
yeah,
can see. I got this
yeah.
big
So you
fro
got
that I got to work through.
yeah, you got like the big hair frenzy going on
I
right
know.
now.
It's crazy. I took them out last night, so I have to wash it still. It's still like a hot mess. That took like all day. And then what else did I do? I don't know. I've just been kind of working on some different projects, and I feel like what else did I went to a new Italian restaurant in Milwaukee that was really good. So I enjoyed that. And then this weekend I'm going to Chicago. So one of my girlfriends got tickets she won tickets to see Eric Church. So we get to go to this free concert, and I like country music a lot. So I got my plaid shirt and my cowboy hat, and I am like ready to go.
You got a big belt buckle?
I do have a big belt, but I'm gonna wear leggings. I'm like, I don't want to wear jeans. I want to wear leggings. But I do have a really big belt buckle.
Only belt buckle that I got is when I was in 2-7 infantry. I mean, not 2-7 infantry, but 2-9 infantry over in Korea. You do this walk called the Manchu Mile, and you do so many of them. They give you like a coin, and then you get a belt buckle. Like after, I think it was like 4 of them. So like that's the only belt buckle. I think I got one from another unit I was in also, but I never wore it. I never wear it though. It's like still in the box they gave me it. So one of those type things. So this week I want to bring up the talking points of well, first we're going to have an interview with Jm4, and we're going to talk about the coffee process that they have. So as we already know, the video is out. People been writing about the coffee. Actually, people been sending me pictures of them buying the coffee. Like, hey, I just got the coffee in. This is pretty good. Which one did you get? I got the Texas blend. Oh, let me know how that tastes. So I had like plenty of conversations like that over the past week or so in regards to that. And then I want to talk about Ukraine. All right. So we already know gas is going up. All right. And around my area, it seems like they was trying to keep it under $4, but right down the street from me, it jumped up to like $4.19. And I know a lot of people are like, oh wow, $4.19, that's pretty but that's pretty high around here, because I haven't seen it like that high in years, especially like when I was a drill sergeant here. I don't really remember it being that. South Carolina was trying to curb gas prices as much as possible. And then it was another talking point I heard on one of the shows that I was listening to, whereas the politicians were trying to debunk Second Amendment talks with what's going on over in Ukraine. Right. So I found that pretty funny. So, and then you had actually sent me an article about smart guns. And I think that's going to be pretty interesting to talk about, just to hear your take on it, what I read, and then the video that came with that article that I seen, and then bounce off the talking point. So I think it's going to be interesting conversation as well. But let's go ahead and dive into this commercial break, come back, and let's hit up one of those topics. And I'll let you decide after the commercial break which one we're going to do first. All right. So if everybody will, please take this time, go ahead and adjust your headphones, turn your volumes up. If you're driving in your vehicle, adjust your sunshades, put the car in cruise control, and here are a few words from our sponsors.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
Are you in need of a new firearm and are planning to make your purchase online? Well, you're going to need a Federal Firearms Licensee, or FFL, to receive shipment of your purchase, to process your paperwork, and to conduct your background check. CAE Transfers is your affordable FFL solution with a cost of only $20 per item or $15 per item with the presentation of your South Carolina Concealed Weapons Permit. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business and let me know that MW Tactical sent you.
Hey everyone, John from Outdoor Dynamics here. We're a remanufacturer of ammunition based in Kannapolis, North Carolina. We make everything from 9mm 115 grain to specialized 40 Smith & Wesson. So if you have anything from an open gun to just a standard Glock 19, feel free to reach out to us at outdoordynamics.net, or we're on Instagram and Facebook with outdoor.dynamics. And we're always here for you, happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, good people, we're back at it again, and thank you for sitting through that commercial break. And as we stated before the commercial break, that we had a couple talking points that we want to hit up. Now, the choice between the smart gun and Ukraine. So I'm gonna let Rockstar decide which one we're gonna hit up first.
Ukraine's kind of at the forefront of everybody's mind, so I think that'd be good to talk about.
Okay, so let's go ahead and hit that one up. So as I stated before the commercial break, around my area in South Carolina, I noticed like how the gas just shot up, right? And in a matter of 2 days, was it like 40 cents? And I was like, wow, this it's really happening. But now, of course, on social media, a couple friends out in California, they were sending me what was taking place out there. So gas out there shot up to like $6, almost $7. But of course, your area and the way it is with the living conditions. But California is also one of the states, whereas majority of their prices for gas is majority of tax. So they throw a tax on everything just to jack up the price. Everybody wants a piece of the pie, I guess. But how is it affecting your area?
Well, I put a poll out on Instagram on Monday, maybe, because gas was $3.99 this weekend. I filled up for $3.99. I posted a picture. I'm like, this is stupid because I don't want to pay $3.99 for gas. And then I drove 20 miles north, and then I could have filled up for $3.74, and I was really upset about that. Then I was like, I wonder what other people are paying for gas. And my people that I interact with on Instagram are kind of all over the country, which is pretty cool. So I asked, what state are you in and how much does gas cost by you? So California was the most expensive, and California and Washington State were the most expensive, and they were well over $5, if not close to $6. And Texas was about between $3.99 and like $4.29. And then on the East Coast, it was right around $4 for the most part. And then the Midwest was, below $4, but not by a whole lot. So, and then a couple people that I talked to, so my friend down in Arizona, he said the gas was, I think it was close to $4, and now it's like $4.59 or something, just a few days later. So I've been kind of keeping an eye on it. It's weird because I'm like, this is what happened before the economy tanked last time. We had really high gas prices, and then the bottom kind of dropped out. So I'm hoping that that's not a precursor as to what's about to come, because that would not be good.
Well, the one thing that surprised me, it doesn't really surprise me, but it's surprising me on how people are not doing anything about it. So let's take the mathematical equation 20 minus 1 and then put a C in front of it and put the other letters with that. Some people call it the Rona, and there's no talk about it no more. Now it's just gas.
Mm-hmm.
There's still some people out here with the mask on. But now my whole thing was it a scam? Was it a hoax? What's going on? So now is this the next crisis that's taking over? Because possibility of starting another world war. But are we completely over what just took place the past 2 years of lockdowns and people not getting the help that they need health-wise and everything? Yeah, it's one of those questions.
I
Like
feel
I'm more like,
COVID
wow.
ghosted us. Like,
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, we got ghosted. There's no closure. It's like a bad breakup. Like,
Yeah. So the thing that got me was, uh, I mean, like, what can politicians really do? Can they actually bring forth charges or anything behind this?
I mean,
Because, like, to me, I think it was a scam, a hoax, however you want to look at it overall, but I'm a firm believer in this. It was nothing more than about the money,
yeah,
so the whole talk of it was at first, hey, stay in the house till we get control of this. And then, oh, if you come out of the house, just put a mask on. But then the science started kicking in, like, hold on, if this mask can't block out a fart, how is it blocking out anything else? And then it was, well, if you want to do the mask, we have to do this certain type of mask,
right.
right? But I said this to everybody: if it was real, everything would have shut down for longer than what it did, and it would have started with the airplane industry, right? That would have been
Yeah,
the first
and it
thing.
would have stayed shut
Correct. But then you notice, like, how, and this common sense stuff, once it hits you, it's like, are we doing what? Are you saying what? Like, so now when you go into these buildings or whatever, you got a piece of plexiglass in front of you, and I'm talking to a piece of plexiglass, but I can still reach around and grab you.
Yeah.
Right. So does this stuff just stick on the window and it doesn't move after that? That's going to protect you?
Right.
Like, come on, man, we got to wake up.
Or like when you would like hand them cash or like hand them your card, and I'm like, but you're touching everything.
Yeah.
Like your germy hands are all over my stuff.
Yeah. I was like, this is crazy, but that's crazy. But now the new thing is what's taking place over in Ukraine. All right. So are we actually going to use our own oil that America, because from what I understand, America produces the most barrels of oil outside of everybody else. Or am I wrong?
That I don't know, but I know we produce a lot, and we were producing. One of my friends sent me the math, and it was like we get like 600,000 barrels a day from Russia, and the Keystone Pipeline is capable of producing like around like 800,000 barrels a day. So in theory, we could replace what is being lost, but that got shut down for the most part. And there's also, like, the oil industry has changed. So I was reading this article on CNBC, which I thought was really interesting, because oil has changed a lot, really, like since the mid 2000, like 2010 or so. So part of that is because they're basically being pressed to cut their capex. So they've been shifting it to paying down debt. They pay out more dividends. There's also this, the whole like green movement of no longer producing carbon or like limiting carbon. And then they also invested like a lot of money in fracking. So they didn't have like a ton of positive cash flow. And then obviously, like during COVID, stopped a lot because half of the world was not doing anything. So overall production plummeted, and that's kind of been coming back, but we're still only at about 50% or so of what production was pre-COVID. And there's really there's a couple things. So either we have to pump more oil. Or OPEC has to basically change their quotas for their production, what their production numbers are. So I don't know. It's really interesting because it seems like a lot of these things were kind of already set in motion in the past decade or so. And obviously, like Texas and North Dakota, they were doing a ton of production there. But there's also, I don't know, it's like we're living in kind of like a different world from back then. So I always kind of like equate oil to like how cigarettes were. So like for years and years and years, like cigarettes were a shoo-in for anyone who was investing in them, and you got returns on your investment no matter what. And everybody kept smoking and all of these things, right? And then they started to pass all this legislation, and it turns out smoking is really bad for you, and all of these things happen that kind of really stopped the cigarette industry from being as profitable. And I feel like now there's something similar happening within the big energy industry. And not that gasoline's going away, and obviously smoking is still around, it's not obsolete, but if you're investing in some of those big cigarette companies, Philip Morris and RJ Reynolds, your dividends are not what they used to be. It's not this shoe-in money that you were once guaranteed. So it's sort of similar, because there's a big attack, obviously, on oil, even though a lot of the green alternatives, and I say green loosely because the mining to get lithium is extremely toxic to the environment, and it needs boatloads of water. And there's a lot of like not so green things about green energy. But there's all of these things that are happening that are sort of, and that have been happening, that have now put us in this position where we are vulnerable, because drilling at home is frowned upon, and there's a lot of legislation that makes it really complicated. And it's also something like, yeah, sure, great, like we could turn on production of the Keystone Pipeline again, but we're still, we wouldn't be able to just rely on our own fossil fuels at this point, the way that we're set up, and with the push from the environmental groups, and really like our infrastructure overall. So I think right now we have to have that hard conversation, like, so what is our plan? Like, how are we going to move our economy forward? I don't think having completely renewable energy is a safe strategy. I think that leads to the grid being really vulnerable. There's also places where solar doesn't work, or it's really hard to get water energy. Like you can only build a Hoover Dam so many places, you know what I mean? So
Right.
We're just limited as to what we can do. And I think gasoline needs to stay, like gasoline, coal, natural gas, like those all need to stay part of this product mix of how we move our energy system forward. That's kind of like a different tangent, but I do sort of feel like that's sort of like part of the crux of this conversation that nobody wants to have. It's like, we've kind of done this to ourselves. We've depended on foreign oil for a long time, and with people who don't necessarily like us or agree with us, but they've kind of played nice in the sandbox with us because they've had to. But now that's not the case anymore, and we're kind of like caught with our pants down. So how do we fix it?
Well, I think it can be fixed, but we got to resort to what we know will work. I'm not a big fan of pushing forward with electric cars, because I believe making a battery is more dirty than the natural resources that we already have. And a lot of people are not looking at it from that standpoint. And I had a conversation with about 4 or 5 people in depth about this over the past 3 months. And everybody I spoke with, 2 of those people have electric cars, and it's the best thing. Trust me, you're about to get hit with something and it's going to hurt you. How many batteries does it take to do an electric car? So now instead of going to the gas station, you got that adapter in your home. So now how much is your electric bill going to go up?
How do you create electricity? By burning coal.
Exactly.
Like, let's have that conversation.
Yeah. So it's like I said, it's about to get spiraled out of control, because what took place a couple years ago with Enron, is that going to be the next thing that takes place with energy? But even if you go back and you look at it, and as I stated beforehand, I believe I saw something that said America produces more oil than everybody else in the world. I don't know if that's really true or not, but look at where majority of that oil will have to be taken from. Because if it's on tribal lands, I mean, that's a whole different process you got to go through, the legal battle that you had already stated, that you got to get that stuff through. But moving forward, I think this right here is another play into pushing for the use of electric cars, right? Because now this was a conversation I had just a couple weeks ago when I said this. So if you get rid of the everyday person driving a car, I don't think an 18-wheeler is going to do the same thing that it's able to do with gasoline as far as hauling stuff from an electric capacity. All right. So now if we're saying everything is going to go electric, are we talking airplanes, cars, trucks? When I say trucks, semi, boats, cargo ships, and all that. All right. And let's say we don't even dive into it that far, and it's just cars for the everyday person right now. Now, how is that going to drive the price of fuel up for the people who are driving the 18-wheelers, driving the trains, driving the cargo ships from the different countries, bringing in the goods, the imports, right? And the fuel for airplane. Because remember that one time when airplane tickets went up, when gas went up, it was almost like, hey, you got to save up for 4 months just to get one plane ride.
Right. It's crazy.
So how is that going to affect everything? Because we already know once the price of gas goes up, grocery goes up. And then if groceries go up, everything else is going to follow. It's like a chain reaction. So what's the remedy? I say keep everything like it is. We're not hurting, but what's the big push? All right. I say I do want to remember this. I heard this over the radio, and it was over 15 years ago. I want to say it was one of the British states. And it says something along the lines of by 2030, they put into a law that everybody will be having electric cars by then. All right. So, but this was like I said, about 15 years ago. And I was like, man, this is how it's going to go down. Slowly but surely, look at what's taking place. But look at all the major car companies that are jumping on board of it also. So remember that big thing? This was probably around the 2006 era, between 2006 and 2010, when they was doing the whole push for flex fuel. Right.
Oh yeah.
And then what?
Yeah.
Like 8 years later, after the big push, it was like, oh, flex fuel was a hoax. It didn't provide you any benefits to anything. If anything, it burnt gas faster than it was supposed to save you, and all this and that. But I think that was just a money grab as well.
Yeah. The E85 or whatever. My parents have a car that runs on that. And I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, it's just and I mean, we shouldn't even have, all of our fuel. Well, I don't know about you, but at least in Wisconsin and Minnesota, all of our fuel has ethanol in it. Like it's up to 10% ethanol. Not all of it, but a lot of it, like the unleaded, is just up to 10% ethanol. Like, and that makes me mad because it's corn, like it's corn oil essentially, and corn is heavily subsidized by the government. So I'm like, why are we doing something that, one, we know is not good for your engine? Ethanol is not, it doesn't burn as good as gasoline does. And secondly, that we're subsidizing it so it can get poured into our gas tanks. Like that doesn't make sense to me. So,
hey, I mean, what do you do when the system is in place, when somebody can say something along the lines of, hey, if I do this, will you wash my hands? And later on, I can do this for your campaign. And like, that's how majority of it starts.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
we just got to sit back and wait and see what happens and see how the people will react to it. But I can honestly say I'm not a fan of electric cars. I've driven one beforehand. It was weird, but it was only because it was new. Of course, it was weird. But I prefer and keeping what I have right now, which is a fuel car. Well, you go to the gas station, you put fuel in it. If the system ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't see nothing wrong.
Right. Well, the whole thing is, I mean, in my mind, all this like smart stuff, the whole goal, and we've seen this, right? We were like, or people on Twitter who are like, you need to shut off all the electricity or the electric cars in Russia, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is exactly what they want, because if you can be on the grid, on the smart grid, the quote unquote, I think anything that's called smart, whether it's smart guns, which we'll talk about, smart cars, smart houses, smart phones, anything that's smart is just people who think they're smarter than you trying to put more restrictions on your life and surveil what you do. And all of it comes back down to these, like if you have a smart car, and I don't know if you've read about like the ESG or the social credit system, but essentially it's this, this is where we're headed. So I'm really big into the whole Agenda 2030. And I mean, I've been studying that for a long time. And if you look at Event 201, that's something that popped up years ago. That's basically how COVID has been playing out. And all of these things, like they tell you all the things that they're going to be doing, but the 2030 agenda is basically this carbonless society where we don't own anything, everything's kind of rented, we're all plugged into the smart grid. And all of these things that are happening it's like full speed ahead towards that. So if you have an electric car and your social credit score is good, like you can go about your business and do your thing. But if you have your social credit score and you've said something to, make the Facebook overlords upset, they can dox you and they can shut off access to your car for 48 hours. It's like, how people get thrown in Facebook jail for saying things? It's the same thing, but like it actually impacts
real life.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that series on Netflix? What's it called? Black Mirror?
Yes.
They had an episode something like that, whereas your social engagement was based off of like people liking you.
Yeah.
And the more people who don't like you, it's like it takes away from you and you start losing privileges. So it was like, it was crazy. I was like, wow.
They do that in China already. Like China already has a social credit system.
Yeah, I heard that. I thought it was just an experiment. I didn't think it was like everyday life, but actually it must be real life that still continues to this day.
Yeah. And I don't know how, because I mean, a lot of China is like really poor, right? I mean, it's like they're working in rice fields and they don't even have smartphones. But I would assume that the more populated and controlled parts are very much plugged into this, this kind of new world order system that they're trying to lay out.
Wow, that's crazy. But let's talk a little bit about this smart gun, that article that you had sent me. So how can you make an inanimate object like a firearm smart? So let's talk about that. So of course, Rockstar sends me this article and I started reading it. And off the title alone, I was like, this isn't a good idea. This is not a good idea. And the reason why I say this is because remember, there was a state that's right there on the Pacific coast where a lot of celebrities live. They was talking about something like that being in place out there. Now, my take on any type of smart firearm, I'm totally against it, because the way I look at it is, okay, if I was doing my job in the military and I'm doing whatever and somebody gets hit, my firearm goes down, I try to pick up somebody else's firearm, it won't work, because it's either going to be radio waved or fingerprint or something bio. But what if I was sweating real bad and still pick up my firearm and it doesn't work? It's not going to read anything, right? So that's why I said I don't think it's a good idea. So you're out with your spouse, something happens, you get taken out, now your spouse has the ability to pick up that firearm and save the family or your life or her life. It's not working because it's not her fingerprint, or she doesn't have on the ring that's compatible for that firearm, or however it is. That's the reason why I don't like the talk of this smart gun technology. And I just don't think it's a good look overall. But how do you feel about it? And let's just happen to say if the government was to jump in and mandate it, whereas that's what you have to buy. So how would you feel about that?
Well, I feel like there'd be enough time to stockpile some other things before that happens. So, I just wouldn't buy any new firearms is kind of what it would come down to. And then obviously like the black market is a very real thing. So
Right.
I would probably just continue to use normal firearms if it really came down to that. I think it's interesting because there's basically two companies that are really kind of pushing for this. One is called Lodestar Works, and then the other one is called Smart Guns LLC. And Lodestar Works is based out of Boise, and then Smart Guns is based out of Kansas. And they're both hoping to have their products available for purchase this year. And of course, you know, the one guy from the one company has got this story, and he's like, I've heard all these stories of, you know, children who were shot when they were playing with guns unattended. Smart guns should, you know, could stop those kinds of tragedies, blah, blah, blah. And like, I get that, but also so would being a responsible firearms owner, and you should not be letting your children use guns as toys. Although I watched Tiger King. I haven't watched Tiger King until recently. I just watched it because it's just a disaster. I'm like, oh my gosh, how is this real life? But the one husband of Joe Exotic, like he killed himself on accident, like with a firearm. He didn't think it was loaded. And I was like, wow, that's really sad. It's like really kind of messed up. So, I mean, it's not that I'm not saying those things don't happen, like they do. But again, doing stupid things like he didn't check if he just said, oh yeah, you know, it's not loaded. He didn't check if it wasn't loaded. He just assumed that it wasn't, like he didn't check. He, you know, pointed it not in a safe direction. So he broke all the rules. So, I mean, yes, it's really sad that that kid died. Like it was an accident. He didn't deserve that. But there are lots of things that he could have done differently that could have prevented that from happening. So I mean, yes, you can always like have that sob story, but then okay, so then let's say that same family, they have a smart gun, so their kids can't use it to accidentally shoot someone. But then like your example, okay, cool, a burglar breaks in, dad gets shot, and it's registered under his fingerprint, and now no one else in the house can use it, and the whole family dies. So it's like, did you really save anybody? Or, you know, or you could have just made sure that your guns were properly stored and not let your kids use them unattended. And I don't know, I just feel like it's trying to prevent something that is preventable without having to use this new technology.
But one thing I've always said, when it comes to firearms, there are a law in place with a firearm that covers everything. Now, what was that, 3 years ago when they came out with these, 1,000 something new firearm laws? Only thing they did was rewrite the laws that was already in place. So I'm a firm believer in, if you do a crime with a firearm, if you were to prosecute the person instead of just certain people, right? Prosecute everybody, right? To the extent of the law, that's going to be the example that's made, and it's going to reduce everything. I honestly believe that. Now, with smart technology and firearms, okay, you can go ahead and put it out there and sell it. Somebody's going to figure out how to deactivate something, you know,
Yeah.
because that same article, it says something about a company had put out a 22 pistol. Yeah, and somebody figured out the hack, whereas when it was on safe, it will fire. Like you can actually do something with a magnet or something and, you know, remote it to fire, you know? So yeah, you can put it out there, but there's going to be something in place where somebody's going to outsmart it, you know?
Yeah. And I don't want it to be linked. I don't need the government to know what guns I have. They don't need my fingerprints on that stuff. Like they have no business, you know, knowing those records. I don't think anybody has any business knowing that. And I would have to provide all of that.
I'm a firm believer in that, but let's look at it from this standpoint. If you do get, well, let's just happen to say they were to say from here on out, you can only buy smart firearm technology. right? So whatever handgun, whatever rifle you buy, shotgun, it has to have the smart technology with it. With that being said, the next thing or something before that might have been, oh, in order for you to buy this firearm, you must have this type of storage capacity at a minimum in your living area.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now, okay, now you're really stepping over boundaries. If you ask me, that's really stepping over the boundaries right there, because why are you trying to control, somebody's every movement with something? Right. Which in turn goes back to what I said a couple weeks ago. Look at what's taking place over in Ukraine. Right? Why was the government throwing, firearms at the people? Time to defend. But why are we so quick to try to take everything away? Right? So what took place in California, as we've been talking about a couple shows ago as well, right? When they said, police chief, don't come out to Los Angeles because we're not going to be able to help you.
Right. You're on your own.
Yeah. So people are running up on people, robbing them, breaking into their house, right? But the residents in that state who was, hey, I'm anti-gun, we don't need a gun. Those are the same people that went out and started buying firearms. Don't know how to use them. So now you're doing double the damage because you don't know how to use that tool properly, in the act of whatever you're doing to protect yourself, your family, or your property. So it's one of those like, okay, are we just chasing our tail in that circle? But why isn't somebody standing up and actually saying something, that's common sense, that, okay, this right here is in place. You win, we win. Let's move on with life. But once again, it's going to show how greed is taking the place of basic necessities in life. That's the easiest way for me to say it. So, but I'm not a fan of smart technology and firearms whatsoever. I think that's a bad idea. Yeah, because now what about the police officer?
Right.
Who has a smart technology firearm and pushing or whatever you have, fingerprints, touching points, a ring, whatever. Some people sweat intensely under pressure. Right. Or let's just happen to say this officer gets into it. He falls in some mud, trying to get cover, or big dirt, whatever. It gets on that firearm, and now it's not working because that link is not working. The same thing we said at the beginning of this conversation, so it can work on both sides, Right. So I think it's more cons than pros when it comes to smart gun technology, in my opinion.
I would agree. I mean, if someone really wants to purchase one, I guess, like, I'm not opposed to people having them. Like, if they feel like that's okay. So in my mind, if someone who wouldn't normally purchase a firearm feels that having a smart gun would be a safer decision for their home and it would encourage them to purchase one, I would be okay with that, but I don't want it to be mandated. I think it can be an option in the purchases. And if, there's a mom who is very hesitant to have a firearm in her home, but her husband says, this, I'm the only one who can use this gun, things and so on and so forth. And she's like, okay, we can now have a firearm in the home. I would be okay with that. But my concern is the same as yours, that it's going to be, that's what's, everyone's going to have one. There's not, same with like the electric car, right? Like, you can drive an electric car. That's great. If you want to do that, that's on you, but don't make me drive one. Like I'm all about options.
Yes. I'm all about, like you said, the option of, but don't narrow my options down to whereas everything is, hey, the government says this, the government says that. Right. But the same people who are, well, I'm trying to do the right thing, this is what they said, you're going to have to pay for that later on, and it's going to hit you.
Right.
So look at what took place when, hey, we got to be locked down. Same people that was like, hey, I'm just trying to do the right thing. The same people that started complaining about it later on.
Right.
So be careful what you ask for, but at the same time, just use a little bit of common sense in your decision making skills. Yeah. But let's go ahead and dive into another commercial break. And when we come back off of this break, we're going to have a conversation with Jm4 Tactical and talk a little bit about the coffee. So if you actually got a bag of coffee, go ahead and hit us up and let us know and tell us what you thought about the blend that you got. And like I said, it was a few people that actually sent me some pictures on Facebook and Instagram that they actually got the coffee. And I was like, hey, that's awesome. That's awesome. But we're going to have a quick talk with Chad when we come back about this coffee. And on this commercial break, go ahead and pull up that video that we did on the M-W Tactical YouTube channel and check out that review of the coffee, and then join in on the discussion. Tell us what you think. All right. But you have anything else you want to say to the good people before we hit this commercial break there, Miss Rockstar?
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like we're in this sort of weird holding pattern with all the things in the news. I mean, COVID is MIA, and who knows what's going on with Ukraine and Russia, and gas prices are skyrocketing, and there's just a lot of, it's still weird. It's been weird for 2 years, and I don't feel like it's ever going to get less weird at this point. So I don't know. I mean, I think that there's obviously lots of interesting two-way stuff happening, but there's also lots of just life stuff happening. So, if you see anything interesting, send it to us. And if there's anything that like you want us to cover, I think that would be kind of fun. But it's such a crazy time right now that it's like, anything kind of goes, there's so much weird stuff to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like I said, if you will, please do a search for @M_W Tactical on everything and give us a like, follow, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff, and join in on the party and follow our adventures through the two-way community. Now, of course, if you want to hit up Miss Rockstar, talk to Miss Rockstar, or go ahead and ask her about dressing up her firearm, you can do so by hitting her up at
Rockstar Burst, Rockstar BERST on Instagram. You can, give me all of your firearm tips and tricks. You can vote on what I should do next with my hair. There's lots of fun things going on my Instagram page right now. So feel free to drop by and say hello.
There you have it. So if everybody will, please go ahead and take this moment, top off your drinks, go ahead and utilize the restroom, and here are a few words from our sponsors.
Jm4 Tactical has developed a state-of-the-art polymer holster that will quickly become your go-to holster. With high-quality Herman oak leather, securely sewn to the interior of the molded outer bolt-on shell, your draw becomes silent and no more scratches up and down your firearm. When seconds count, you can rest assured that you will have the upper hand when you need it most. Whether you carry open or concealed, the Relic holster is available in 4 different models, fitting over hundreds of different style guns. The new reliable, easy, light, individual carry holster by Jm4 Tactical. Order your Relic today at jm4tactical.com.
Hey, this is Brian Conley at Hunters HD Gold. If you've never tried Hunters HD Gold, then I challenge you to find me at a match next year. Go to the website under scheduled events, find out where I'm going to be. Come meet me in person and demo a pair for yourself. Find out why shooters across the United States are changing to Hunters HD Gold to get 43% more light to their eyes, better contrast, eyes that are not fatigued at the end of the day based on the colors that we use, and find out the real meaning of why they change so you don't have to. So check us out on our website, huntershdgold.com, and I look forward to seeing you at the range soon.
What's up, good people? Thank you for taking the time and listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. Please go visit the M-W Tactical store at www.m-wtactical.com/store and help support our efforts by purchasing a shirt or two. If you haven't done so, go follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for M-W Tactical. All right, good people, we're back at it again, and thank you for sitting through that commercial break. And as I stated before the commercial break, that we were going to bring on one of the owners from Jm4 Tactical. Now, as I've been saying week in and week out, that the owners of Jm4 Tactical actually sponsor me in shooting and actually sponsors a portion of the podcast. So we have the owners here. And I have a funny story about what took place with the coffee, but I'm going to talk about that after I bring in Chad and let you all hear this funny story.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Well, hold on. It goes like this. So without further ado, he wants to get on the camera, wants to get on the microphone. So let's go ahead and bring him in, the owner of Jm4 Tactical, my buddy, my friend, Chad. What's going on there with you, Chad?
What's going on, Michael? I know this is I know we've done a couple of podcasts in the past, but this is actually our first one we're actually doing live on TikTok, which is kind of funny.
Right.
I seen this the other day and I was like, well, we might as well try it. So we'll see how it goes. I just don't know where my moderators are. I think he just left the room. One of them, need to get them in there. But yeah, I love these anti-gun people. Oh my God.
This is crazy. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to go ahead and bring you on and talk about the coffee. Okay. So here's how the story went with the coffee. So everybody is abreast of what's going on. All right. That's funny. So what actually ended up taking place, whatever I was doing this day, I think I just either got finished doing some dry fire or I might have been doing dishes or something. I get a text message like, hey, what flavor do you like? All right. And I was like, okay, whatever. It was 4 choices. And I said vanilla. Right. And he was like, okay, cool. I'm going to send you something. Then I get a phone call like 2 minutes later. Hey, you're going to get some coffee and I want you to do a review on it. I was like, okay, all right, have a nice day. Hang up. 3 days later, I get the coffee, and then I was like, okay, so he wants me to do a product review on coffee. And I was like, I don't even drink coffee. But of course, I got friends who do, so that's where we are with it.
Yeah. And what'd your friend, I've seen the review you put out the other day on YouTube. That was pretty cool. And all the people that tried it and loved it, really liked it. And it was one of the things that we really wanted to get into. We are a Second Amendment company. We believe in everybody's right to, whether you want to own a gun or you don't want to own a gun, that's your decision. I'm talking to these anti-gunners on TikTok right now. That's their decision. But we wanted to get into the coffee industry because we know that gun owners love coffee. And what better to have it roasted right here in Texas and know that you're going to get a quality cup of coffee when you purchase from us.
Correct. So let's back up a little bit and tell the good people, who is Jm4 Tactical? Because the beginning of the video, I was like a holster company diving into the coffee business.
Yeah.
So kind of explain to the good people, who is Jm4?
Well, we've expanded a lot. We started off as a holster company, and actually this week we will be open 6 years.
Nice.
6 years. And it was a struggle when we first opened. There was a lot of doubt. A lot of people thought we were going to fail. It's just business. We learned to take our negative energy that people were giving us and turn it into a positive drive. And by us doing that, actually our second year in business, we were in Forbes magazine. They wrote a hard article over me and my wife. And I couldn't have done it without her. Plain and simple. Behind every successful man is a very strong woman. That is just plain and simple. I mean, women you know, men, we have to have that successful woman behind us to help us, give us that drive. And she was my drive 100%. But we we mainly are e-commerce and things like that. So we run into the fact that it got out of sight of my horizon of what I do. You see what I mean? Because now we're talking about analytics and social media marketing and whole different league for me. Well, I am into one thing I come up with is good ideas, but I'm really good with training.
Right.
And we wanted to start opening up training facilities. We have one here in Abilene, and we train a lot of students. We have several instructors that work for us that contract with us that go through the, they're all certified instructors through USCCA. And we do a whole lot of training outside of that, because we always train, and that's what I'm good at, and that and coming up with good ideas. So one of the things I've come up with is I wanted to do coffee. Once start doing coffee, I wanted to get into coffee. I wanted it roasted right here in Texas, because all our products are made right here in Texas. So we jumped in and said, you know what? We're going to make coffee. We want to do coffee. And one of the girls, which happens to be on maternity leave, me and her set out, and we set out on a mission, and that was to bring a coffee line to our website. And we did. I mean, some of the things I wake up and say or think of are crazy. I mean, it's just like you notice we changed our logo.
Correct.
Okay. Same thing, is I woke up one day, I had a dream. Well, not really a dream, but I woke up and I thought, you know what? We are a Christian company, plain and simple. And I want a cross in our logo. And I come to a meeting, I said, I want a cross in our logo. And everybody's looking at me like, how are we going to do this? Do you realize we're branded everywhere? Do you realize everything we're fixing to do is rebranding?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we not change our logo, but still put a cross in our logo? And our great videographer, and he does phenomenal videography and does all this stuff behind the scenes. He come up with the cross in the logo, and a lot of people don't even see it until we point it out.
Right.
And once we point it out, it's like, wow, there is a cross. I mean, you knew that, didn't you?
Yeah, I noticed it.
Yeah.
Actually, it was a while back when I noticed it, but I was like, did I ever not notice it before? But then, of course, when I went back and looked at my jersey, it wasn't on my jersey, right?
Yeah.
And then when Johnny had came over and tasted the coffee, the first guy in the video who did the first taste test,
Mhm.
The owner of CAE Transfers, he actually pointed it out also. And I was just like, hey, you noticed it? Yeah, cool.
Well, your new jersey is going to have the logo on it. Did they? I think they said they shipped it. Somebody said something about them shipping it yesterday, or
yes. So
maybe.
Yeah, I got an email notification that it will be delivered today.
Okay. All right. Cool. So it should have the cross on it.
Right. Yeah. So
And
I'll make sure I'll point that out when I put it up for Instagram.
and we've got a couple of customers out there, and it's their right. We live in America, and we have the right for freedom of religion and freedom of this. And we have a couple of customers out there that, they request that we stamp it with the old logo, and we're fine with that. That's we want to keep them as customers, and it's their right. We're not trying to push our narrative down people's throats like some people do. If they want their holster stamped without the cross and with the old logo, we are more than happy to do that. That's just the way we are.
Right. I understand that. So so now we know you did the coffee. We know you want to do it. An employee wanted to do it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you come up with the flavors?
Well, we went through and we started picking, and we started, really working on it. And it's what we wanted to come up with. And I figured what better than, some of the flavors we have. We have, the Texas pecan pie, which is really good. If you mix it with the vanilla coffee that we have, like half and half,
Mhm.
it is a very good to be mixed. We also we have the Texas dark chocolate, which is also, you can mix that dark chocolate with the pecan, and it's very good also. And then we have a breakfast blend. The breakfast blend is very good. It's more of just a natural coffee, but it's really good. All four of them are really good. Now we're thinking about some other flavors, but right now we're sticking to these four, and we have been selling a lot of coffee.
Right. So now, the vanilla. There was a lot of people who tried the vanilla,
Mhm.
and everyone who came to the house and they tried it, they all was like, "Wow, this is really good." I was actually surprised.
Yeah.
So, did y'all have much input as to
Yes, we have
like
everything. Yeah,
oh,
everything we do. We're totally invested in everything we do. And one of the reasons is why we're going to put out a 100% quality product. We stand behind our products. We stand behind our quality. So when you purchase from us, you're not going to get anything any less than what we are going to use ourselves.
right?
And our standards are set very high with what we do. So it's a good thing for our customer, because we get invested. I personally get invested, and if we don't like it, it don't go on the market until we like it, until we love it.
So is it everybody or just certain people associated with JM4?
No, what was that question? I'm sorry.
All right. So you said the whole portion of putting it on the market, it won't
Mhm.
go on the market, but is it with
We
everybody
all
or just
yes, everybody. I mean, like we taste, we make sure when something gets put out, we always everybody at JM4 offices, we get invested into it, and we really are focused on making sure that we put out a quality brand and everybody likes it. Now, there's a couple of girls love it, making it in cold brew. I'm not a
Mhm.
cold brew person.
right?
So I've got to go, okay, well, I'm not really a cold brew person, but there are some, a couple of girls at the office that love making the cold brew out of it.
Mhm.
And I like this. Somebody commented, y'all should make a brand called Gun Blue, and you can use a platinum blue.
Wow. All right. So now, when did the process actually start? The whole coffee process. When did this actually start?
I want to say back in, man, I've lost track. I know it's March. We probably started this before Christmas,
Mhm.
probably November.
Right.
Yeah. We started the process, and usually I mean, like, well, we're not gonna talk about, this is fixing to launch out, but I can't talk too much about it, but we're fixing to start making holsters for a certain gun or industry company.
Mhm.
And but we can't advertise or promote that yet. We've got some final steps to get through,
Right.
but everything's in the final works. And it's gonna, I think, did I talk to you about that already on private? But
No, sir.
it's gonna be awesome. Like we're really looking forward to working with this company.
Mhm.
And when we do launch, and when we do get launched out, we'll have to do a podcast over it, and we'll talk about it and things like that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, right there. It sounds like it's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of things in the works. We do. We've always got something going on. Of course, we have a massive website, and we have a
Right.
lot of traffic to our website, and we love, we focus on customer service, and that's what everybody here at JM4, our offices, they concentrate on customer service.
Mhm.
If you email us, you call us, whatever, it's always coming right here to Abilene.
Mhm. That's awesome, right there. So, the video. So you actually watched it. What was your
Yeah,
take on the video when you first seen it?
I really liked it. And listen, if you have not seen this video, you've really got to go to MW Tactical and look at that podcast. I think we posted it yesterday on our Facebook page.
Correct.
But you've got to go watch that video. You've got to get you copy of this coffee. Everybody loves it. I mean, I used to only drink coffee in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll drink 4 or 5 cups of this a day now because it's good. It's
Yeah.
good coffee. I love coffee. I didn't realize how much I liked it until we started really going into this, and I was like, this is really good coffee. We've
Mhm.
done a really good job with this.
Yeah, and actually, my man Johnny from CAE Transfers, he said the same thing. Like, when I did the video, I don't want you to think anybody tasted the coffee beforehand. Right?
Yeah.
Everything was right there in front of the camera first time.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So he's sitting there, and of course, when he was trying it, I saw his facial expression, his eyes pop. So I was like, okay, yeah, he really likes it, because he's very honest. He is very honest. So if he didn't like it, and he even said it in the video, he was like, I wasn't thinking I was gonna enjoy this, or I wasn't gonna like it.
Yeah.
So I found that funny as well. So
I sent that video over to my wife, and she watched it, and
Mhm.
she says, that's a really good review. I was like, I know.
Right.
I love the music you played in the background. I love the setting. Everything you did was great.
Oh yeah, like I said, I appreciate that. I had fun making that as well. So even like the intro bit, I was more like, okay, how do I do this? How do I get this to flow? And it just hit me. Okay, do it like this. Okay, add music and make it, have fun with it. So that's what we did.
It was a good review, and we really liked it, and it was pretty awesome. So packaging and everything looked good. Everything resealable.
Oh yeah. So like I
mean,
said, it was there. It was spot on. And like I said, I'm not one to who likes to drink coffee. I don't like the smell of coffee, but everybody who came over to try out the coffee when I made it, I was more like, holy cow, man, this stuff smells really good. And I got enjoyment of just smelling it in the kitchen being made up.
Yeah, we actually have a stuff out front of our store, and it is but it's we you can come in, you can drink, get you a cup of coffee, you can try it, you can have your cup. We're always got stuff going on up there, but that front room, the front of the store smells really good all the time because they got that coffee.
Now, which blend do y'all make more of?
I'm gonna say Texas dark chocolate and the pecan, Texas pecan.
Right. So Rockstar, the co-host of the show, she said she wanted to try the pecan and vanilla.
Yes, very good mixture. Very good mixture.
So I told her I was going to arrange for her to get those bags so she can try it and tell me what she thinks.
Yeah.
But I got another idea what I want to do with other the other flavors as well. But I'll talk to you off camera about that.
All right, we'll do that off camera.
Yeah. So how did y'all actually come up with the flavors? Like how did you pick dark chocolate? How did you pick the Texas blend?
We got another company involved, and we started. I mean, who doesn't like chocolate?
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't like pecan pie?
Right.
You know, and vanilla. So we got a secondary company involved, and we started really getting involved in the mixtures and things like that on it, and tasting and going through everything and the different, you know, flavors and different amounts of how it's roasted, stuff like that. And it's just turned out to be really good. I mean, but we were invested into this process 100%. And we did a lot of taste testing.
Oh, wow. So,
oh my God. And a lot of different grinds and a lot of different, you know, everything we were invested. I'm not even going to lie. I mean, we were 100% invested in this. I had this office running around here singing and zagging because everybody was hyped up on coffee.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny right there. So, yeah, so I'm about to, if you're watching this on the M-W Tactical YouTube channel, the day we recorded this, we're doing it live on TikTok, and my phone is
Yeah.
about to die as well.
Well, oh yeah, it just died too.
Yeah, it just died on me. So
One of the things that we're gonna do is and I'm fixing to jump off TikTok, but we have a birthday sale going on, and it's B, like as in boy, B
Right.
day 6, and it's gonna save you 20%.
right.
So it's good through the 18th, through March 18th. That code is B day 6.
There we go. So there you have it. More savings for everybody who wants to go out and get some coffee. And I would actually say go out and get the coffee. Everybody who's tried it said it was delicious. So now how far do y'all plan on going with the coffeeness?
I think we're going to leave the 4 brands out for right now. Now we just stepped into whole bean. We have whole bean.
Right.
So we have whole bean and ground. So I think we're going to kind of lay low for a little while.
Right.
And just kind of let this take over. And then of course our holster sales are doing really good. But we're just going to kind of chill, and we're short-handed, short-staffed right now. So it's best that we go ahead and how you say it, kind of take it easy,
Right.
because we're not fully staffed to keep moving forward until we get our staff back, and then we'll come up with something else. I promise you, we always do.
Right. Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. So if everybody will, please head on over to jm4.com/coffee and look at the 4 brands or 4 blends that they have. If you don't have if you have a Keurig and you don't have a coffee maker, don't worry, they got that covered as well. So you're covered in that aspect. But then in the same breath, get the coffee and tell us what you think. I'm curious. I'm pretty sure Chad is curious. And let's talk about it in the future.
We do have a subscription that's going to be coming out, that's going to be able to ship you your coffee within, every month. So you got to give us a little time to get on that, because like I said, we're shorthanded, and that we're working towards it. But right now we don't have the staffing to set it up, because everybody's doing everything else.
Right.
But that is our next thing on our agenda.
Got you. I got you. So how can the good people reach out to JM4 and follow you on all your social media feeds and all that good stuff?
Just go to jm4tactical.com. We also got a great podcast, also Jm4 Tactical. All social media platforms, Jm4 Tactical. Whether you're on TikTok, wherever. Now you gotta be a little careful going to TikTok, because I get a little out there sometimes.
Right.
And TikTok is more about me and not as much about the company. It's my personal views. So I get a little wild on there sometimes, and I'll get, 500,000 views and
right
100,000 views, and people loving it. But you got to put that a little bit aside, because that's just me unleashing. That's just me just giving my point of view and just opening up. Because when I started my podcast, I promised them I wouldn't do that on my podcast.
Gotcha.
I think we've already started.
Right.
But it's just, I love our company, and I want everybody to see our company. We are a Christian company, but we still have to, we still got our point of views.
Gotcha.
All
right.
And TikTok's where I'm at.
No, that's it right there. I know you're having fun with it, so I know how that could go.
It was started off as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you that, didn't I?
Correct.
It started off as a joke to see how fast can I get kicked off of TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And I have yet to be banned. I've got a couple of warnings, but I've yet to be banned, and now they pay me.
Oh, wow. There you have it. That's a good turnaround right there.
I'm just like, are you serious?
Right.
This started off to be a joke. And next thing I know, I had 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000. I'm going, where the hell is this going? 70,000, 80,000. I've got like almost 90,000 followers on TikTok, and I'm going, this was supposed to be a joke. But some of the best ideas and some of the best things that people do in life is really out of mistake. You know what I mean? When you
Right.
come up with things like that. And that was just really I wanted to jump on to see how fast I could get kicked off.
Right. That's a good theory-based system to have right there.
And it went crazy. I mean,
Mhm.
it went crazy. Did you see the one about me doing the one where I got robbed the other day?
Yeah, I was actually like, wow, really? What happened there? What happened there?
Oh, that was a good one, man. That was a
Yeah.
good one. People are like, oh my God, you
Mm.
got me. You got me on that one. I was like, yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, you
That
did. You
was
got
it.
me also. You got me on that one.
Because I got all serious on that, you know.
Right.
Until
Mhm.
that was a good one, brother.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, once again, like I said, if everybody will, head on over to jm4tactical.com/coffee, pick up a brand and tell us what you think. And once again, Chad, I want to thank you for coming on to the M-W Tactical Podcast. And we will be in touch.
all right. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Once again, everyone, please, thank you for listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. And as we already stated beforehand, head on over to YouTube and give us a subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can be notified of when a new video is posted. Also on our other social media platforms, do a search for us for @M_W Tactical and join us in our adventure within the 2A community. All right. So as we always say, until next time, keep shooting, keep practicing, and have fun. Y'all take care now.
Thank you.